Sight, hearing. Senses so important to the quality of our everyday lives, yet senses that so many of us take for granted. But for those who have lost these senses through illness, accident, or at birth, the regaining of these senses is nothing short of a miracle. The Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation, in cooperation with Lions clubs across Montana, serves those in need who have nowhere else to turn. These Knights of the Blind are truly Montana's miracle workers.
The foundation was created in the early 1980s. I think members of the Lions in the state of Montana saw a need for providing help, primarily to sight individuals who needed some financial aid early, and then it expanded until now we help people with sight problems, hearing problems, or even some speech problems.
The needs that we get come from all age groups, from very, very young, almost newborn children with maybe hearing problems that have been diagnosed from the very beginning, all the way up to recipients in their 80s and 90s.
The purpose of the foundation is to help anyone in the state of Montana who absolutely has no other means of getting something done, like an eye operation, hearing aids, or something similar to that, where expenses are more than their family can actually come up with, and the local Lions Club doesn't have enough money in their coffers to help them out, so it comes through the foundation after it goes through the local Lions Club.
Blaine Frisbee is a 5-year-old boy from Lewistown, Montana, who had been deaf since birth. The life-changing help provided by the Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation was nothing short of miraculous.
We actually first learned of Blaine's hearing loss when he was born. He failed 2 of his newborn hearing screenings. As he was growing up, we just noticed at daycare and whatnot that he was really having a difficult time hearing, and also with his speech development.
Dr. Tina Berg is Blaine's audiologist in Lewistown.
Originally, I believe he was referred by his family physician, and having resolved ear infection issues and different other etiologies for some hearing loss, it became rather obvious that it was a permanent loss. And so we then moved forward with the family, getting him some help and going through that whole grieving process. That's very difficult for families.
Well, at his first checkup, we realized that it was a sensorineural hearing loss. He would need hearing aids. And she kind of told us about how expensive they were, and there's no way we could have done it. She gave us the name of the Lions Foundation. They went through our information and chose Blaine as a recipient.
The Lions went above and beyond the call of duty, because they did also put us in touch with another program called Audient, and they worked together to get those hearing aids for Blaine.
He was excited because he was hearing things he didn't hear before. The birds, and birds, you go outside and he's like, I hear a bird chirping somewhere. And he's like, yeah, you do hear a bird. Because he didn't hear it before. It was just muffled sounds that he heard. So after the hearing aids, it was a whole new world for him. He was hearing, things he couldn't hear before. So it was neat.
And the leaves crunching on the ground. He'd walk over the leaves on the ground and he'd hear them crunching, and he'd say, "What is that?" And potato chips, when he'd eat potato chips. He'd say,
these are really crunchy.
The day we put those on him was so amazing. He went around the office and just was crinkling paper. He was giggling, and you could just see his face light up. It was just instantaneous. He just went, aha, that's that part of my world I didn't have.
Up until that time, he was having some behavior issues because he couldn't communicate to the kids and they couldn't understand him. and he couldn't hear them, and so he would, you know, take toys away because he'd ask for a toy, but they couldn't understand him, and he couldn't hear them, and you know, so it really improved his behavior as well.
You know, it's a wonderful program because it does help everybody. And I just think if you're in this profession, to find an organization that is so easy to work with is a gift, because there are those patients that an audiologist wants to help. And with the Montana Lions Foundation, it's just as easy and simple as can be.
When a Montanan of working age becomes afflicted with sight or hearing loss, their livelihood is jeopardized. The Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation provides needed help to keep Montanans on the job or return them to work.
I'm presently working with a 31-year-old female who is requesting hearing aids, and she is part of what I consider to be the productive working class or working people of our community, who will, if she doesn't get a hearing aid, she's going to lose her ability to maintain her job, and also to continue to be a working, productive individual in the community.
Dennis Wood is a welder and metal fabricator in northwest Montana. When blinding cataracts threatened his ability to perform his craft, his wife contacted the Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation for help.
I was to the point where I couldn't work because I couldn't see my work, and you got to be able to see to run a cutting torch. They made a little incision in this right over here in the corner of my eye, and they pulled out the old lens, the inside lens, and put a new one in. The day after she put me on the eye test, she said, read the smallest line you can read. Down in the corner there's this real little 20/20. 20/20. Yeah, I like it. That was underneath all the letters, so yeah, it turned out great.
When people enter into their senior years, hearing loss becomes more than a frustration. Montana Lions find that they are more often being called on to help with the financial burden of hearing aids and the life-enhancing rehabilitation they provide.
With the elderly right now, probably the most used program we have is our hearing aid program. And it has really grown and really expanded over the last 2.5 years. And as I mentioned before, I think we've had individuals in their late 80s, early 90s that we have helped get hearing aids. And I think it's really nice that Lions clubs are active in getting those people help to really improve their quality of life. I think as we get older, and our society is getting older, we all are getting a few more of those little situations where we need some help. And those people on fixed income, we know that hearing aids can run several $1,000s, and so we have a great program in place where we can get hearing aids for those individuals and really help improve their quality of life as they get a little older.
You know, the Lions has a good program, outreach program I call it, so when they find people who just don't really have the means and the wherewithal to be able to get hearing aids, they don't qualify for Medicaid, they're not on any kind of public assistance, and yet they don't really have enough discretionary money to purchase hearing aids, and yet their life would certainly be a lot better with them than they can. The Lions steps in and helps these individuals out.
They get tired by asking the third or fourth time, can you repeat that? What did you say? So they start to withdraw, or they feel a little silly by not being able to answer the question properly, or answering incorrectly, and then everybody else sees that they weren't paying attention, where in reality they weren't hearing well. And so they kind of become more recluse, and the conversation partner often backs up because it's too much work for them. So when we fit a person with a hearing aid, more often than not, it's this wow effect. It's like, have I really been missing that much? Or I can't believe I had that much of a hearing loss. And they become, hopefully, our goal is to more engaged in society or with their family. Strangers, like ordering from a restaurant or a drive-in, we get them connected again, and that's the goal.
Katie Zugaza is a grandmother from Townsend who provides care for her 2 grandchildren.
I had talked to some friends that belong to the Lions Club. We mentioned I thought I had some hearing loss. And they said, well, why don't you get hearing aids? And I said, well, I just can't afford them right now. So they told me to get an application and apply to the Lions Club. It didn't take long, and I had the application, sent it back, and it was just shortly after that they approved it. And I went to see Dr. Jensen in Helena, and he was wonderful, put me through the testing, and said that he had done quite a few for the Lions Club before. I couldn't believe how much better I heard. I mean, I knew I could hear, but not well enough. Like children say something to me, I couldn't hear them. I can hear the wind in the trees and the birds singing, and it's so exciting. It's more comfortable being around people because I can hear, and I don't have to ask them to repeat everything they say. So it has been a big change in my life, my social life, and most of all, when the grandkids say, I love you, I want to be able to hear them.
Application for assistance from the Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation is a simple procedure that is done through and with help from a local Lions Club. Donald Baumgartner from Missoula was close to being totally blind before applying for help.
By the time I did the surgery, I was totally blind to the left, and from the cataracts, and the TV, I couldn't even make out faces or anything. I could see the colors moving around, but I couldn't make out faces or anything in the right. It was very easy. It's just time consuming, because you got to fill out what you own and how much is in the bank and stuff like that.
Individuals can get an assistant application from local Lions Clubs, and they can also get the address for local Lions Clubs off our website. And so once an individual has an application, they complete that application. It has just some general information about the individual, possibly information about the family, how big the family is. And then we have a section regarding financial condition of the family or the individual. Because whether we grant funds to an individual, part of our criteria is financial need. So that's a real key element of our application process. So the individual will complete that application. There are sections of the application, and then they have to contact a local Lions Club. And I can get them in touch with the local Lions Club, or as I said, the addresses of all the Lions Clubs in the state of Montana are on our website. And so they'll get that application then to the local Lions Club because we want them involved in the process. And so the local Lions Club will review the application. If there's some questions, they'll do a little research and work with the individual to make sure that the application is completed the way it should be. And then once that's done, then the application comes to my office and I go through it again just to make sure that everything is in place and all the information that we need is there in the application. And then the final step is to get that application then to our trustees, and the trustees will make the final decision on whether to grant funds for the whatever might be needed.
The Foundation's funding comes through cooperative efforts with Lions Clubs across the state of Montana. The Foundation exists due to the much appreciated work of Lions throughout the state.
Our success in helping people, it depends on our local Lions Clubs providing funds. We get all of our funds from the local Lions Clubs, and through some of our other fundraising programs, and we are involved in the state specialty license plate program. We have the Lions Mint program, and I think as people travel around the state and go into stores in various communities, you might see the box with a little placard that indicates that we sell the Lions Mints. And we have what we call White Cane Day promotion that normally in the spring. May is what we call White Cane Month. As people travel around the state and go into some of the bigger stores, or might be a post office, you might see a Lions Club member there with their gold vest and a little notice saying this is a White Cane promotion effort. And then we have a variety of award programs, recognition programs where a club can make a donation. And then we have what we call a fellowship program. It's a recognition award where we give an individual a pin and a letter of recognition. And in some of our programs, we have a nice plaque that we can give to the individual. It just recognizes their community service and their service to Lionism. But we depend on donations, and so we've really been fortunate to have great Lions throughout the state. And also we have to give credit to our trustees that are active in promoting the foundation. And as I said, we depend on donations, contributions primarily from our Lions Club's members. And you know, it's not unusual for a club to send us a check for $1,000 or maybe $2,000, or you know, sometimes maybe just might be $100, and we certainly appreciate that. We have a wide variety of programs, again, some great things that people can get involved in, and it all hinges on the support that we get from our local Lions Club. So it's just a great cooperative effort between the clubs and the foundation.
I think it creates a lot of opportunity for people who have not been able to afford or wouldn't seek help, would be much more proactive in obtaining help because of the Lions Club is contributing to their success. So yeah, without a question, it's going to be much more beneficial not only for that patient but for family and the community.
It's an unreal thing to be able to see again. I mean, if you have cataracts, you know what I'm talking about. And just the next day after the surgery, I could see, and it was unreal.
Thank you, Montana Lions Sight and Hearing Foundation.